Hey, it's Scott Petrak with another episode of the Brown Zone Coverage Podcast. Week 1 has arrived. The NFL season begins tonight in Kansas City, and the Cowboys are coming to Cleveland on Sunday. That means we have a ton to talk about, including game and season predictions. Here to get us started, as always, is Dave Chudowsky of the WKYC Morning News. Are you ready for some football, Chud?
Scott, I am ready. Are you?
I think I am, yeah.
Yeah, hey, this is what we've been working up to, right? Yeah, we're not on the field, but man, we do these things basically weekly, and we appreciate everyone that listens in. But there's always so much to talk about, and that's during the off season. Now we finally have games, and it's going to be great on Sunday. It starts tonight. We're taping this Thursday morning. We got Kansas City and Baltimore live on Channel 3, cheap plug. So excited about that. Always love Thursday night football. The first game just gets the juices flowing. And Scott, this is going to be huge on Sunday. This isn't like a trip down to Carolina. This isn't, Seattle's coming in or something like that, or Indianapolis. This is the Dallas Cowboys, 425, national TV. Almost the entire country is going to be watching this game. Tom Brady making his debut, Deshaun Watson back. Honestly, what a stage that has been set for Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I think you hit about all of it there, Chud. It's a big one, and it still is only one game, and we know the opener does not define the season, but that doesn't reduce the hype and the excitement. And I think all of it is there. I do think Tom Brady being in the booth for the first time in a regular season game really adds something when you're talking about it being a draw. The other day, when they announced the stadium name change to Huntington Bank Field, Jimmy Haslam said he expects 30 million people to watch. So that's a huge audience. America's team with the Cowboys. You got the Browns, who maybe they're going under the radar a little bit nationally, and there aren't high expectations. But I think the expectations are high around town. I know they're high inside the locker room, and they're as talented as anybody in the league from a 53-man roster perspective. And Dallas is up there with them. You look at some of the numbers Dallas has put up in recent years in the regular season. We're not talking playoffs. And this is a huge matchup of really talented teams that I think are both expected to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, you hit it. You hit it right there. And while the first game doesn't define the season, it certainly can set up some great momentum. How many times have we seen 0-1 turn into 0-2 that turns into 0-3? I can't imagine that happening with this team and with the schedule at the beginning. But what I would like to say is look at what 1-0 can do for you. They started out last year with that big win over the Bengals, and that kind of set the tone for an 11-win season, second most ever in Browns franchise history for total wins in a year. So, yeah, you're right. A loss does not define the season, but certainly can set up a lot of momentum.
Well, there's no doubt. And I would say the Browns' schedule is easier at the beginning. I'm not talking just necessarily Dallas, but if you look at the first maybe 8 games, it's the softest, quote unquote, softer part of the schedule. And they need to get off to a good start. They need to position themselves well at midseason to survive kind of the murderer's row of the second half. So that starts week 1. You're 100% right about momentum. I think it's interesting, Chud, for all those years, we talked about how they can't win an opener, and now they've won 2 in a row, and at least we don't have to talk about that. So maybe they have some momentum, and they can get to, go down the stadium on Sunday, and there's not that dread feeling, and maybe it's, hey, they can start the season off strong.
Yeah, you're right. It is not. It is nice to not have to talk about that. It's nice to have a 2-time Coach of the Year now, and you feel like the tone and the drama around Berea has changed. You still get a little bit of it, but not as much. It just feels like a culture change, and I think there's something to be said about that. And that's nice. Maybe more so for us as fans and media heading in, but I think the players, they hear about it, they know about it, so it's definitely something that goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I didn't get a chance to ask anybody yesterday, but I'm going to try to either today or tomorrow. Just do they feel that change? Because that was a storyline. And I know sometimes players don't know the history like we do, but I bet there's some guys in that locker room that do appreciate the fact that we're not talking about losing whatever that number was, 23 out of 24, whatever that number was.
Yeah. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, Huntington Bank Field, you were there. What do you think about the name change?
Yeah, it's interesting. The timing makes sense that you get it done before the opener. It kind of gone off my radar because last year they wanted somebody to buy naming rights and they couldn't find a suitable agreement. So it came together fast. Huntington's, been around for a long time, Ohio Bank. The green looks a little different with the orange. I don't know if it's a perfect color scheme match, although I guess it works for the Irish. But it's a big thing. They're gonna, to me, the key news item is the name's gonna follow the team wherever the stadium is. So let's assume that's Brook Park because that's my assumption. That's what the Browns want. The dome in Brook Park is going to be called Huntington Bank Field, and it's a 20-year agreement, and that's going to continue for a long time, and it's not just a temporary thing.
When do you think we're going to learn more about where the field is going to go? Because that had nothing that was brought up when the Haslam spoke, but no results, or should I say answers, were given.
Sure.
What was that, Tuesday?
Yeah, October, November, December. I know it's pretty broad, but I think we're going to have some kind of resolution. At least that's the hope, is we have some kind of resolution during this season. Because then all of a sudden, the lease at the lakefront runs out at the end of 2028. So it takes a long time to build a dome and all the stuff that they want to do around the dome. So they want to get this officially headed in that direction. So I know that their hope is to have some resolution before the end of the season. I don't think that's guaranteed. We know that the city of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County are pushing back. I don't think that's going to stop the Browns. I know it hasn't changed their plans to go to Brook Park, but maybe that hurdle delays the official announcement. But their hope is to do it before this season runs out.
All right, let's get into the activities this week. You had practice on Monday, off day on Tuesday. That's when they had the announcement. You had practice yesterday, practice again today. The first thing I want to just bring up, it just seems like when you look at the injury report, and I did that, it looks pretty solid. I mean, the Browns look pretty healthy, Scott.
They do. Now, there's still the guys on the injury list, Nick Chubb, Naheem Hines, but the guys on the 53 roster, they all practiced at least in a limited capacity on Wednesday. And that's such a rarity in this league, Chud. You know that as well as anybody. You just don't see it. And for it to be heading into week one, I think is significant. And Kevin Stefanski tried to downplay it, but the Browns are really careful during the offseason, training camp, preseason with their injured guys. And the goal is to have guys healthy for the entire season, 17 regular season games and the postseason. And they are not focused on a game in August or a handful of practices in July or August. The goal is September and beyond. And I think that does play into some of these guys coming back this week. Now, his point is well taken that if Greg Newsome has surgery in July, then the timetable for his return is late August, early September. And it just works out that way. Jed Wills, if they could have brought him back 2 weeks ago, they would have, because then he would have had a better chance to play Sunday against the Cowboys. But having said all that, they're in a good spot. Wills said yesterday that he won't start Sunday against the Cowboys, but he could play. But even if he doesn't play, and even if he's inactive Sunday, it's a really positive step in the right direction that your starting left tackle is back on the field. We saw Jack Conklin back on the field last week. So they're getting a lot of key guys back. And really, Wills is the only left tackle is the only question mark. I think we know who everyone else is going to be, all the key starters, the key players. The only question is who's going to play left tackle.
Well, when it comes to Jed Wills, do you think that possibly this is just getting him back on the field to start getting his reps in and to start getting his training in to kind of set him up to maybe play the following week? And if you had to lay money down, would you think maybe he won't play this week? Or do you think that maybe he would get some snaps in, but just not start?
Yeah, if I had to bet, I'd bet he does not play. That was the vibe that he gave off yesterday in the locker room. I just think he wants to be careful, and this is just me reading into it. I think he wants to be careful. I think the team wants to be careful. If Jack Conklin can go Sunday, I think he would be your starting left tackle. I think DeJuan Jones would be your starting right tackle. And then you have James Hudson is your swing tackle. If you need to bring Jermaine Ifedi off the practice squad for one game, you can do that as insurance at tackle. So I wouldn't rule out Wills to be active in case of emergency. But that just, every game he's played in his NFL career, he started. I think he would be better off as a starter. So I'm going to say I don't expect him to play. And then we're looking at, is it week 2, week 3, week 4, when he can finally come back and is ready to be in the lineup.
Yeah, I wonder what the point would be to even have him play if he's not going to start. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Maybe
if somebody got hurt, right? But even then,
well,
I don't love that. Yeah, I don't love that situation, though.
Yeah, that's true. But back to what you said before, I mean, we knew Chubb wasn't going to play. We knew some of those other guys. So as you had pointed out, like the guys that could practice, I mean, that is amazing. You're right that they're all out there on Wednesday. So you got to love the health. The other big thing is Deshaun Watson spoke with you guys yesterday. A couple of things that stood out to me was, he said Sunday wasn't always given, meaning given that he would be out there.
Yeah, you got it, Chud. That was my takeaway. And, sometimes players say that they're coming off an injury and, when it gets to the point where they feel they're past it, they reveal more about the injury. But we knew this was a tough injury. We knew this was a rare injury for a quarterback to have. So the fact that he came back by week 1, he considers that a victory. And he said, hey, maybe it would have taken a whole year and it's November. Instead, he's ready to go in September. So he hadn't been that clear about that. And I think that's important to him. And I think that does help his confidence. We talk so much about Watson's confidence. I think that does help heading into the opener.
Do you feel he's still elite? He said yesterday, did he say that he's still elite or did he imply it?
Yeah, the question was, do you still think you're one of the elite quarterbacks? And he said, no doubt. And he's, he hasn't budged off that, and you'd be super worried if he did. Oh, yeah, I'm not elite anymore. But, I think that's the question. I mean, obviously that's the question. Can he get back to being elite? He has not been elite the 2 years he's been here. But I think it's important that he has that mindset. And I can't tell you if he really believes that or not. I don't know where his confidence level is. He proclaims that it's high. But, when you talk about why isn't he the same quarterback that he was in Houston, part of that is his confidence level, in my opinion, that he's not the same quarterback. So much stuff has gone on that it's affected him. And I don't think it's just physically. I think it's mentally, emotionally. So I think if he's going to get back to being that player or get close to being that player again, he needs to regain that confidence. And I think it's necessary for him to talk like that, but I think he really has to have that self-belief. And, again, I'm playing amateur psychologist, but maybe you need to play really well for a long time to get that full belief in yourself again.
Scott, how important is how he plays on Sunday? Meaning, if they win the game 13-10 and he doesn't play well, but they still win, are you all right with that? Or do you need to see him play well? Or let's say he throws 4 touchdowns, but they lose 41-40.
Right.
What's the most important thing?
That's a great question. The win is most important. You could make an argument long-term, because Watson's such a key to the success, that if he plays well in a loss, that's better for the Browns. So I completely get where you're going with that. And I never want to say that something's more important than the win, but I think you can make a strong argument in that case, Judd. But let me flip it. If he doesn't play great and they still win, I don't think that's the end of the world, because he hasn't played since November. We talked so much about these offensive changes, and we just don't know how it's going to look. I think there's going to be an adjustment period, and I don't think things are going to be incredibly smooth offensively for the first however many weeks, 1, 2, 3, whatever that number is. So he could get kind of caught up in the whole offensive system not being at peak performance week one. So I wouldn't want to read too much into it. Now, if he goes out and throws 5 interceptions, people are going to go nuts, and I would get that. But if they win, 20-17, and, he's middle of the road performance-wise, I think that's fine. I think that's to be expected.
Mm-hmm. Yes or no, quickly, do you believe him when he says he doesn't care what the experts think?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I think we've talked about that before, but he certainly does. All right, let's get a Cowboys preview. We talked about CeeDee Lamb last week, him and Dak on fire last year. Just break down the offense, and is that your biggest concern, or is it Micah Parsons on defense?
Well, Micah Parsons against whoever's playing left tackle is certainly a concern. I think the Browns will be able to figure that out if it's helping with the tight end, if it's helping with the running back, sliding Joe Bitonio, whatever. And I'm not saying they can neutralize Micah Parsons, but you can have a plan for one guy. The Cowboys' offense as a whole, they led the league with 29.9 points a game last year. They're top 5 yardage, top 3 passing, I think. It's one or the other. They're top 3 and top 5 passing in overall offense. CeeDee Lamb led the league in catches, has this brand new contract. Dak, we know the numbers with Dak. I was looking through the Cowboys release before. Dak's going to get to 30,000 career passing yards this year. Be the 6th quarterback to do that in his first 115 games if it happens. Led the league with 36 touchdown passes last year. Last time he played the Browns, he threw for 502 yards. So they are explosive. I think the Browns defense is going to be really good this year. Better than really good. I think the defense is going to be great. This is an outstanding week one matchup to see how they match up. Now, the concern, if you're the Cowboys, they have 2 rookies starting on the offensive line, one of them at left tackle. They're going to have to figure out a way to block Myles Garrett. They're going to have to figure out a way to block those interior pass rushers because they have a rookie center. And if you're looking for a reason to like the Browns, that's a reason to like them. They might be able to get a lot of pressure on Dak.
Anything else with the Cowboys that you want to hit on that you think is key to getting this done this Sunday?
No, to me, those are the guys. It's Dak, it's Lamb, and it's Parsons. They're without Deron Bland, one of their big-time corners. He's out. That's a help for the Browns. Trayvon Diggs is back. He's a ball hawk, a bunch of interception guy. He was hurt last year. He missed most of the season with the knee injury. He's back. So, those are the biggest names. But, I kind of go through the roster, and I'm not overwhelmed maybe with some of their guys, but they win 12 games a year, and their offense is unbelievable. So they're really good, and I think the Browns have the roster to match. But I think it's going to be a great matchup, Chuck.
Yeah, and they don't have Pollard anymore at running back. They got Rico and Zeke. They got Zeke Elliott back. Yep. There you go. So, all right, just a couple more things before we get to prediction time. Real quick, I know you sat down with Myles Garrett. Yeah. Anything you want to throw out there just to direct your readers or the listeners to go read that article? Yeah,
I'm glad you brought it up, Chud. I got a Myles Garrett sit-down that's on brownzone.com. It's at the top of my X page, too. If you're looking just real quick, you can find it. It's pinned at the top. I got a bunch of season preview stuff. I have one about the offense, the remade offense. I sat down with Jeremiah Wusu-Koromoa. I had my season predictions. I had a Q&A with Wyatt Teller. We talked bourbon and golf and all kinds of stuff. So all that is going to be out within the next day or two. I think noon it's going to start showing up on brownzone.com. But real quick, to Myles Garrett, sat down with him, and I was just curious. I said, when did you know you were special? Because obviously he's a special athlete. He's 6'4", 272. We know that. And he said, I never did. I still don't. And I don't think he was being humble. Chud, he talked about being uncoordinated as a kid. And he couldn't really catch the ball. He'd get out of the way when his brother was throwing the ball. And then how much work he put into all of it. And he said, hey, I'm going to be an athlete. His older brother was an NBA player, his older half-brother, and kind of knew that was in him, and he knew he would have, like, the frame for it. But he talked about, doing 500 push-ups and 500 sit-ups, and it's all this stuff that he did. And I think you look at him now, and I wouldn't picture kind of a, for lack of a better term, ugly duckling when he was growing up because he's developed into this. But he said he had bad body image. So I thought it was kind of an insightful discussion with Miles.
All right, look forward to that, reading that. And Scott, one last thing, button up the roster. They ended up taking care of the quarterback situation, which we talked about last week. Are you surprised they weren't able to trade Huntley, or did that kind of go down? What happened there? They brought Foreman back.
Yeah, so they brought Dante Foreman back, which was the plan at running back. They couldn't find a trade partner for Huntley. I didn't think that they would, just because there wasn't a huge market for him in the offseason. Came here to be the fourth quarterback. I think it was, I guess it shouldn't be surprising. It's newsworthy that he winds up back with Baltimore on his practice squad. And so he has some intel on the Browns. They don't play the Ravens till week 8. So I don't think that's a big deal. But he goes back to the team that he'd been with before.
And one other note before we get to predictions, it was just announced today. Our thoughts and prayers are out there for Jimmy Donovan. Andrew Siciliano is going to be calling the games this year.
Yeah, and Andrew Siciliano has Cleveland ties. I think his dad was from here. Feels like he grew up a Browns and Guardians fan. But that Jimmy story last week, Chud, it's probably the worst story. Hopefully it's the worst story I had to write all year. It was the worst story I've written to this point. Just the fact that, Jimmy announcing that the cancer came back and it's aggressive, and he's said he's not going to call any more Browns games. It was just a hard one, and I feel for Jimmy, and I know he knows that everybody's thinking about him and praying for him.
Scott, I'll tell you, working with Jimmy for 11 years, I've known him since the 90s. I interned with him, and of course in the sports department with him, and still working with him at Channel 3 when I made the move over in the mornings. I can tell you firsthand, nothing meant more to him than being the voice of the Browns, and the passion he put in and the love he has for the city and this team. It's really tough to see, and our thoughts and prayers are out to his family, no question about it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I feel worse about Chud is he was going to be able to focus all on the Browns. He was done with Channel 3. He'd retired. I went to the party. You were there, and felt like, he's going to be able to devote everything to the Browns, and then not to be able to make it to week 1 is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, no question. Well, Scott, the one magical thing about what we do here is that, we can talk and then maybe take a break and then talk again. So we actually did that today, and you went out to practice. So we're finishing up here in the afternoon. And I thought interesting, I don't know if this is a big deal or not, but I saw Dorsey's going to be on the sideline, not up in the press box. Do you think that's a big deal?
I don't think it's a big deal. I do think it's newsworthy and interesting because he was in the press box for Buffalo when he was with Buffalo. And we remember the famous scene where he's like smashing the Surface, the tablet, when something didn't go right. So that's what he was used to. And I think as a coach, you get used to that perspective, and you're the bird's eye view. You get to see the all 22. But I don't know if Kevin Stefanski likes to have his coordinator on the sideline. Alex Van Pelt was on the sideline, but Dorsey's also the quarterback's coach. So you have to have that face-to-face communication. I think that really helps. And that's one of the reasons he'll be on the sideline is so coming off the field, he can sit down with Deshaun Watson and look at the pictures that they have on the tablets and discuss what they just saw, as opposed to, he can get on the headphones, but I think it's different. And Dorsey said himself, you can feel the game differently when you're on the sideline.
Do you feel, listening to Amari Cooper, that this is a game he's had circled on his calendar? He spoke with you guys today. Do you feel like he has revenge on his mind, or not really?
I don't, but he tried to downplay that, the fact that he came from the Cowboys. He said, well, if it had been a couple of years ago, I'd feel differently. But they did trade him, and they weren't willing to pay him, the rest of that contract. And the Browns wound up assuming the $20 million a year contract, and he's been great for them. He also downplayed that he was mentioned in the trade reports for Brandon Ayuk. And, I think it's pretty established that the Browns would have given Cooper in that trade for Ayuk, right? I haven't had anybody personally tell me that. I've seen it places that make sense. I don't think the Browns were going to take on Ayuk's contract and then pay Cooper $25 million a year or $25 million for this year. So he was certainly in the middle of all that. And he said, I asked him, I go, well, feels like it should be emotional for you. You went through the minicamp holdout, and then you signed you got the contract restructuring right before training camp, and then you had this. And he said, I'm not a very emotional person, so no, it wasn't. I don't know if I'm buying it. So this is a long way of saying I'm not sure I'm buying that, and I'm not sure I'm buying that playing Dallas doesn't mean more to him. He talked about how excited he is to go against Diggs, the outstanding cornerback for the Cowboys. They played together for a couple of years. They're both Alabama guys. He said that's why he plays football. That's why he fell in love with football, is matchups like this, going against Trayvon Diggs. So I think there is emotion there. I think Cooper just decided he was not going to not let us see it today.
All right, Scott, it is time, prediction time. We have to make a prediction for this Sunday, as we do each and every week. And we have to make a season prediction. Which way do you want to go first, season prediction or game prediction?
I kind of think we should go game first, Chud. I'm sorry. Game, yeah, games are good. Game works.
You want to go game? You want to go game first or season?
Yeah, let's go game. Go small and then get big.
All right. So do you want to go first on game or first on season? You can take one and I'll take the other.
Oh, it's like deferring the kickoff. I'll go first now. Give me the game. Give me the game pick right now. All right.
Okay. All right. Go for it.
I'm going Browns 23-17. I just think the defense is really good and can handle what's a really good Cowboys offense. I like the matchup with Myles Garrett and the rest of that defensive line against an offensive line with two rookies starting their first regular season games. I like the Browns cornerback group. I know CeeDee Lamb's unbelievable, and I know Dak Prescott can find a way to get him the ball, even though defenses are trying to stop it. I just like these corners, and I feel like Dallas maybe isn't a big threat to run the ball, so the Browns can really concentrate on stopping the pass. I'm not sure the offense will be super smooth, but I think Stefanski and Dorsey will have enough drawn up. Now they got to figure out a way to block Micah Parsons, but I think they will. So I got the Browns winning at home 23-17.
All right. Starting out 1-0. All right. Yeah, Scott, what do I always say? You gotta show me, right? That's a big thing for me. I want to see it done. They've done that now 2 years in a row. I mean, we can't sit here or I can't, or anyone else can't sit here and say, hey, they don't win in week one, because, well, forever it was the case, right? I mean, there was that period where they had only won one game since 99, that 04 game against Baltimore.
Yep.
And right. Yep. But now at Carolina, home to Cincinnati, I feel like they've gotten over that hump, and they've showed me that they know how to win in week one. Kevin Stefanski's got them going, so I can't use that excuse. And quite frankly, I can't use the excuse, well, this is a game that the Browns would lose because, they're favored, and now they're expected to possibly win a game like this. I can't say, well, they're going to blow it. They're not going to win a game that they should win. I mean, and they are favored. And I also can't say, well, home field advantage doesn't mean anything, because last year they were 8-1 at home. And all of those factors, I sat here and I kept thinking, the Cowboys are going to come in and win game one. I just, all the hype. And I don't even know if there's hype, because there's a lot of people that are down on the Browns, actually, nationally anyway. But I guess I'm maybe putting a little suspense here. Scott, I'm going Browns, and I'm going 27-24. I know that you're high on the defense, but I just think Cowboys are going to find a way to score some points, and I think the Browns will too. And maybe I should be going 24-21, so maybe that would be the smarter pick. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like it might not go exactly the way we think, and this one might be a little more high scoring. Could be wrong. But I'm going Browns 27-24. I'm going to put my faith in the fact that they have figured out how to be dominant at home, and I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. They've won the 2 straight openers. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon, and I think the crowd is going to be a difference. I think the crowd's going to be fired up, and I'm going to go Browns 27-24.
I think that's interesting, Chud. I like your reasons. In the whole high scoring, low scoring, I get what you're saying. And you could be right. I look at the Dallas offense, and it's tough to stop. But I just, while we're talking about it, I get all these emails from these betting sites, and they said this one's sportsbetting.ag. And of all the week one spreads, the Browns moved the fourth most, from -1 to -2.5 since it came out. And then the over-under was the biggest move, dropped from 45 to 41. So, you're seeing it differently than Vegas. I guess I'm kind of aligned. I don't think I knew that when I made my pick. Maybe I did subconsciously, but I guess Vegas is thinking what I'm thinking, that maybe there's not going to be a ton of points. Mike Zimmer is now the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. How does that change things? The Browns don't know exactly what to expect because they don't have film of Zimmer with the Cowboys. Yes, Kevin Stefanski coaches Zimmer. But I think that's going to be one of the biggest questions is, how does this game play out? Does Kevin Stefanski play for an early field goal because he thinks points are going to be at a premium, or does he think, hey, we're going to need to score 27, so I'm going to go for touchdowns? I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I looked at the over-under when I made my prediction, and originally I was closer to the 41, and then I said, you know what? I'm just going to go. I don't know. I don't know why I did. I think it would your score is probably smarter. I'm not going to lie. I'm going out more on a limb. I will agree with that. But I am going to have the Browns cover because it's 2.5 right now. So
yep.
I am going to have them cover by just barely there with the 3-point win. So I don't know, man. It's just something tells me I don't know if it's the 4 o'clock, the game of the week. Just something tells me there's going to be some more fireworks than we might expect. So that it's just a gut feeling, and I'll leave it at that.
Perfect. All right. So what do you got for the season here, Chud?
All right. Well, this is where I do look at Vegas, and the over/under for wins, Scott, is 8.5, which I think is dropped because wasn't it at one point 10 or 9?
Yes, I think it went from 9 or 9.5 to 8.5.
Okay. All right. And you look at it. Right now, Vegas feels like they're the third place team. Ravens first, yep. Bengals second, Browns third, Steelers fourth. I think we could argue that all of those teams. I think I'd be surprised if the Ravens ended in last, and I'd be surprised if the Steelers ended in first. But any other combination wouldn't shock me. But the fact that the Browns haven't won a division since '89, I probably would be a little shocked if they win the division. So I guess my money's on the Ravens or Bengals to win the division. But that's not necessarily what we're doing here. We're picking wins, record, right? Season prediction. So I'm going to hold you to the fact that you think this defense is, what word did you use? Elite or great or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'll take any of those.
Yeah, I'm still not there yet. I'm still on a step down from you. And I was on that bandwagon all last year, and I know they, I know they were great all year long, but you saw what Houston did to them in the playoffs. I'm still not sold that they're elite. I'm not saying I can't get there, and they can prove me wrong. But until that point, that's where I am going to stick with the show it to me, because they kind of showed it to me last year, but not full go, if that makes sense. So I still feel like, especially with injuries, and I want to see the defense dominate. Also, they have one less game at home this year than they did last year. I think that's a big deal. And I just, the fact that Vegas has it at 8.5, I also feel the schedule is more difficult, Scott. And they won a lot of close games last year. And what if some of those close games go the opposite direction? So I could see them winning 10. I could see them winning 8, but I'm going to go 9-8.
That makes all the sense in the world, Chud. And I went back and forth between 9 and 10. I don't think the floor is very low for this team. I just think they're too talented. I think Kevin Stefanski's too good a coach. They had injury disaster last year, and they were able to win 11 games and get to the playoffs. So, yes, the schedule's harder. There's no doubt about that. But even if the wheels fall off, I think they still win 7 or 8. I think they're that good. I went between 9 and 10. I went 10. And, I could see him winning 9, but I just like this defense that much that I think they're going to win some games early. I think they're going to. We talked about the schedule being easier early, and if they get some momentum, and then they get into that second half of the season, and they're in first place in the North, and they're feeling good about themselves, maybe Pittsburgh is struggling then. Maybe they've made a quarterback change by then. You just never know how that second half is going to play out. Maybe it doesn't seem to be as hard as it looks right now. So I'm going to go optimistic from a Browns perspective and go 10-7. And I'll take it a step farther, Chad, and say they even win a playoff game this year. I don't know about winning the division. I think you could get – I think they're all going to be bunched again, but 11 wins probably wins the division. So I'm not going to go out on a limb and say the Browns get their first AFC North title ever. I'm going to stop short of that. But I think they get to the playoffs, win a playoff game, and then, I'm not going to pick them to win the Super Bowl. But that feels like it'd be a successful season to me.
Yeah, one other note. I still think at 9-8 they could get in the playoffs. I think the Packers did it last year. I know it's a little different. The Steelers did too. So I still think they can make the playoffs. I'll even predict that they will. And listen, you might be right. It could be 10 wins. And I don't think they're going to win the division, but I do think they could make the playoffs. And I will also say this. Listen, man, if Deshaun Watson – anyone who says they know what Deshaun Watson's going to do this year is a liar, okay? We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same line. I have a pet. So, by the way, I'm going live tomorrow morning from, Huntington Bank Field. Yeah, I'm going live there tomorrow morning from 5 to 7 a.m. I'm excited. I got a piece that I put together. I'm going to have live guests. So I'm pretty excited about that. As you know, I love dipping my toe in sports when I can.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting. And, I say in my piece, if you think, get in line, because if you feel like there's a chance he could be elite again, but you're also nervous it could just go south, get in line. I just don't think, right, Scott? Does it right? I mean, aren't you like? Is there anyone who could really tell you for sure what he's going to do?
Oh my gosh, not at all, Sean. Not at all. I think you're right on the money. If he stays healthy, I don't think he's going to be awful. He wasn't awful last year. There were flashes of brilliance last year. Now, he hasn't played good enough in his 2 years with the Browns to say he's going to win a bunch of playoff games or beat Mahomes consistently, or win that AFC Championship game. Like, he would have to play so much better. But last year he was fine. They weren't 4-1 in games that he started and finished. They won the game he started against the Colts, even if you don't want to give him that one. So they can win games with an average Deshaun Watson. They can't go where they need to go and reach their ultimate goals with an average Deshaun Watson. And then, then there's decisions to make down the road, all those kinds of things. But they can win games, and the ceiling is still high, I believe. I don't know if it's as high as it was 4 years ago, but it's still high. And yeah, it's an unknown. Ken Dorsey, if Browns fans want to get optimistic, they can listen to Ken Dorsey because he said a lot of nice things and positive things about where he believes Watson will be this year.
Yeah. And listen, if he is elite again, they could win 12 games. So with that unknown factor, I agree with you, though. I agree on the floor comment. I will be, if they only win 4, 5, or 6 games, that would just be, I can't imagine that happening. So I think those days are over. I think we said that last year and we were right. Yeah. So hopefully that continues to play out. Who you got tonight, Chiefs or Ravens?
I got the Chiefs. Even though, you look back at these Thursday night games, like the Chiefs lost last year to the Lions. I think it's tough for coming off that Super Bowl buzz. But I got the Chiefs to win, and I think the Ravens are going to take a little step back. Not huge, but I think they take a step back this year. They got some new pieces on defense. So give me the Chiefs. And before I let you go, Chud, you want to give me a quick Super Bowl pick?
Oh, yeah, boy. I nailed that last year because I did. Yeah, I had the Chiefs.
Yeah, you did.
I did. Oh, man, I didn't think about this. I wish I would have more. I guess if I'm going to go on the spot, listen, I don't count out the Bengals, man. If Burrow's healthy, do not count out the Bengals. I'm not going to get on the Jets bandwagon. I don't think Miami can do it. Buffalo, every year they disappoint. They disappointed you last year as far as getting to the Super Bowl. I don't think I'm not going to take anyone in the South. I don't think. I'm going to put the Chiefs back in the bowl, and I'm going to go. Most people would probably go Niners. Not most, but a lot.
Yeah.
Cowboys. You know what? I'm going to throw the Packers in there. I'm going to go Chiefs, Packers, and the Chiefs win 3 in a row.
Wow.
Mahomes is just that good.
I like that a lot. I thought about the Packers. I got the Chiefs winning the AFC. I thought about the Packers. I had them winning the North, beating the Lions for the North. But I wound up going with the Eagles. Now, the Eagles could wind up being a disaster. They fell apart at the end of last year. But I really like their makeup. I like their their front office. I think they got a really talented roster. So I'm going to go Eagles beating the Chiefs and denying the three-peat.
Oh, okay. All right. I just think that there's that karma with Taylor Swift. It's very strong. I'm not going to go against the Swifties, and it's never been done before, right? 3 in a row.
It'd be a first.
Right? Yeah. So I'm going to go out on that limb, and also another thing about the Packers, I have Jordan Love as my fantasy quarterback, so I really need him to do well. So I'm not gonna lie, that's swaying my pick over there in the NFC.
Yeah, fair enough. I understand that.
And it would be boring to say Niners, right? I mean,
right.
So that obviously we wouldn't be shocked if it was them. So this was.
I think Eagles, Packers, Niners kind of feel like the 3 teams to me coming out of there.
Yeah, no, the Eagles, man, have so much talent. They really do, and good coaching. So I don't think that's a bad pick. I don't know if I'd pick them to win it all, but listen. I'd love to see you be right. I think that'd be fun. Well, no, I would love to see the Browns do it.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, right? That's maybe one day we're picking them. But this was fun. I'm glad you remembered to do the Super Bowl pick.
Cool. Well, thanks, Chud, for double dipping today. I appreciate that, buddy.
No problem.
And we'll talk next week. We'll recap a regular season game. It'll be crazy. We'll get back into the rhythm of the regular season. So thank you, Chud, as always. Thanks, everybody, for listening. You can read all my work at brownzone.com, including all the season preview stuff. And this has been another episode of the Zone Coverage Podcast. Thanks.